And eventually the Department of Energy said, all right, fine, we'll give you the loan, but you're going to need to raise, I don't know, maybe $100 million on top of what you've already raised. They couldn't do it.
Wow.
By that point,
Yeah.
Chris and Steve they left the company. They were no longer there.
The other thing that really sets Aptera apart actually is sitting on its roof. And I want you to talk about what they're doing with that and why that's so significant.
Yeah, so it's funny that we've gone this long without talking about it, but one of the most eye-catching or features of the vehicle is that there is solar integrated into the roof, testing and validation. But that really means 1,000 activities and steps and areas where things go wrong, where they could get unlucky with expectations that don't match what they're doing. They made some pretty big changes, I think, to the suspension of the vehicle and some tweaks to the body of the vehicle based off of their testing during the alpha development phase. And they're out on the track, and hopefully that the news will all be good, where they'll say, oh, it was even better than we expected, and not, oh, we think we need to go back to the drawing board because it's still too squeaky and rattly and not durable, and we don't think we can manufacture it. But
Right.
it's they've got a long way to go to get to, they said production intent by the end of this year.
To your point, I wouldn't be surprised either if we don't actually see any customer deliveries this year.
Greetings, fellow Apterians, as Bruce Baby would say, or should I say, fellow Apterian trolls like I am. It's time I did another video, and this one is a true update on what has happened in the 2 months since Gamma was revealed at the Fully Charged Live exhibition. We have had over 200 videos, and they all suck up to Aptera because they want that $1,000 discount. And they all say the same things, that everything that's news about Aptera is real, when it's not. All the computational fluid dynamics are a crock. Nothing is real. There's no 3.5 seconds for the 0 to 60. There's no 100-mile-an-hour limited top speed. There's no ranges that go from 250 to 1,000 miles, depending on the battery size. None of those things exist in the real world. They've had 5 prototypes. The first 3 were fakes. They couldn't go an inch on the solar that Chris Anthony would point to and say, we've got solar. Well, they'd have interviews and say, look, there's solar on the roofs of those prototypes. And Chris and Steve Fambro would just look at them and go, yes. And it's all, 40 miles of extra range. Absolute deception. Well, anyway, then they had the beta. And it needed to go more than a few laps of Chuckwalla proving ground. So what did they do? They stuck a radiator on it. That's fake. The radiator is not skin cooling. And because skin cooling doesn't work, they needed to test I think it was suspension, and do a few moose tests. But they needed to test some things where the vehicle had to move more than it did in the car park joyrides. So they put a radiator on it. The next thing they did was build the Gamma. After a 12-month setback in their planned production timing, they eventually came out with a Gamma. And the Gamma, they said, was the first with real solar. But in the 2 months since, we still have no proof that it's real solar. What have we seen in the 2 months with all these updates? Well, the first thing I saw was a few seconds of the Gamma being driven by, looked like media crew. It looked like media crew, and they were doing walking pace around a corner. It was a few seconds of seeing the Gamma on the street. That, up until then, there was nothing. And I believe that person who videoed that was set up by the media crew. It was staged. And I can't prove it, but I can certainly assume it. So, That's all. A few seconds of going around one corner from a parked position. And then the guy filming it didn't seem too interested in watching it go any further than around the corner. So what else has happened? Well, let's just hark back to the fact that Bruce Nelson was promising that the Gamma would be the one that proved all the performance gains. Or I shouldn't say gains, claims. Gamma was going to prove the claims. Well, it didn't do that. Still hasn't. I don't think it ever will, because I don't believe those claims are anywhere near what they tell us. So what's next? Let me think. What else has happened in 2 months, with now less than 2 months to what should have been production? But that's been changed. It's now what should be the completion of designing the Delta. It was production, but now it's just design. Everything gets put back. Well, anyway, let me just gather my thoughts. What else did we see about the Gamma? That's right. Good old Cretin from AOC shows us these pictures of solar on the front hood. Once again, these pictures of the solar on the front hood, I think it was one picture, didn't validate the fact that the solar was working. They do claim it, but they don't show it. They don't ever show it. So we've got solar on the front hood, but by now that solar should get something like 25 miles per day in sunny California, but I would say it wouldn't get 5. That's my guess. And I'm guessing because it doesn't get 5, that they don't prove that it should get 25 or so. In any case, that's not much in the way of progress, is it? So what does Aptera Motors come up with an update? They come up with absolutely nothing about what they've done with Gamma. They come up with a contract with an Italian firm to make the body shell, and it's going to be carbon fibre, like a race car. Well, for the past at least 12 months, they've been saying it was this honeycomb composite, and now they've ditched that and gone for carbon fibre. This honeycomb composite apparently is not up to their standards. My take on this news is that they have now found somewhere else that they can send money overseas, and the United States government is not going to be smart enough to follow where the money goes. And it is just one more place where money will disappear down a black hole. Once again, I can't prove it. I can't prove it happened the first time, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. It doesn't mean that the skin cooling wasn't the real reason for the failure. It doesn't mean that the lack of money was an excuse, and they're setting themselves up to say lack of money is going to be another excuse, while yet they have not proven the skin cooling. They have not proven any of their performance claims. They are heading for a second failure in my book. I'll stick my neck out and say I am 98% certain that they never ever intended to produce these silly trikes in bulk and sell them to the public. They won't work.
Hello, today's video we're going to talk about the Aptera. So it is finally here for everyone. And you know what I like about Chris? What I like about him is he tells the truth.
But it is now back in operation. It promises to travel 40 miles per day for free thanks to roof-mounted solar power. Aptera Motors calls it the Never Charge technology. This range can be extended by adding a battery pack that is charged using standard in-home outlets. Commuters can avoid paying for their daily commute by driving 40 miles per day on solar energy. Aptera has continuous charging technology and can be upgraded with additional solar panels to get an extra 24 miles per day. If charged at 50 kilowatts rapid DC fast charging, Aptera can travel 500 miles in 1 hour. Because of its solar panels, it can also serve as a backup power source during a blackout. Aptera's solar engineers have created ultra.
Hey guys, I'm Abhishek from Plug in India. All of us at Plug in India own only electric vehicles and create content for the EV community. The Aptera 3 wheeled solar car, which looks like a spaceship from a sci-fi film, has a 25 kilowatt hour battery but provides a range of 400 kilometers. After US federal credits, it will cost around $18,000.
Aptera Motors. You may have not heard of this company. You may have to never charge the car again after the first time.
Hi, this is Echo Electric, where we talk about all things concerning EVs. The one thing consoling about this story was the return of Aptera and the numerous successes they've had so far. It's good to see that the company was able to learn from its past mistakes and do a course correction.
Hey guys, look at what Jason Hill just posted today. It is a picture of the Gamma with a solar hood activated. So they finally got the solar hood on there. Let's take a closer look at this thing. The solar roof is still on. And then I saw this video. There's two interesting things about this video. One, that's not a yoke. And two, you can see the tilting of the wheel covers. And according to Jason Hill, it is fully functional. It's working. I'm hoping they release a video of the UI showing charge.
Hi everyone. It's great to be here in our new solar manufacturing location with an update on all things Aptera. Nearby at our headquarters, we're continuing to finalize our Delta design. And today we've announced one of our most significant partnerships yet. We're thrilled to share that CPC Group, a leader in specialized composite solutions, will supply the materials for our BINC structure. Aptera's BINC stands for Body and Carbon. Based in the heart of Motor Valley in Modena, Italy, CPC is a modern and dynamic company.
So I'm very impressed. I think that the CPC bodies that would be created would give Aptera the perfect build.
We know you have many questions about what we will be producing and when. And once our Delta design is locked down, we'll provide you with all the answers that you need in anticipation of your Aptera delivery.
Aptera's previous failed entry attempt back in 2011 has raised some eyebrows and sparked skepticism as to whether the automaker will be able to stand the test of time. With the Gamma reveal at Fully Charged Live, there's still fear that Aptera could fail as it did over a decade ago. That said, we're coming today with some key analysis to assess just how ready Aptera is. However, there are still significant distinctions that could prevent calamity this time. So we think Aptera has set itself on a path to succeed in the EV sector, and we think our reasons are quite good. But what do you think? Will Aptera fail again as it did in 2011? Or does the startup have a much better chance now of actually entering mass production than it did a decade ago?
Hello everyone, it's Steve with Aptera Owners Club. I was going to do another reaction video because John Stossel put out this video yesterday called Electric Cars Inconvenient Facts Part 1. And it's a lot of bad information, so I wanted to kind of give people good information about this topic and kind of go over his video.
Maybe 500 million vehicles. I don't think it will get that many, but that's the aspiration. That would reduce world oil consumption by about 10%. That's not nothing, but it doesn't end the use of oil for the world.
Okay, so they said that getting rid of all passenger ICE vehicles and turning them electric would only reduce petroleum consumption by 10%. That's just not true. This is in the United States. So gasoline is almost always used in passenger cars. Passenger vehicles are 27%. then if you look at freight, that's the big trucks and stuff, that's 17%. About 87 to 91% of the original energy goes to the wheels because a lot of it is recaptured by regenerative braking and stuff. And in an Aptera, this is like 95%. Four or 5 kilowatts would make an Aptera go about 50 miles. Actually, no, 150 miles. And so, and a regular vehicle would probably go about 50 miles from that. So way better. So when someone says that overall electric vehicles are more efficient, that's absolutely true. All right. So hopefully you can see that there was a lot of cherry-picked data in that video. And the thing about 10% of the petroleum is being used for cars, that's absolutely not true. And the fact that electric cars are not better than ICE cars in terms of efficiency, 100% not true, not even close to being true. All right, so this is obviously in San Diego. And the first thing I noticed when watching this video, it will loop it several times, is that the rear of the front wheel cover comes very close to hitting the ground here. And I think it has to do, see, as they straighten out, the rear lifts off. But as you turn again, the rear almost hits the ground there. So it seems like something about the steering geometry of the thing makes it so that the front wheel covers tilt.
Well, that should do it for this time. I'll just sign off by saying bye for now and stay safe.